Yeah. I know they mad for no reason. I'm holding on to change my life. Gotta move fast for a reason. I'm holding on to change my life. Huddling, I'm staring at charts until I retire. Yeah. Huddling, I'm staring at charts until I retire. Oh, 700K, I'm selling a Bitcoin. Haters mad, but they listen to this one. More profit coming to my direction. Yeah, you know me, I don't need a mention. I got the remedy, ooh, yeah. They don't just follow me, ooh, yeah. You say allegedly, ooh, yeah. You would subscribe to me, ooh, yeah. Staring at chart, drawing a line. Make a decision, you out of time. Huddling, I'm staring at charts until I retire. Yeah. Huddling, I'm staring at charts until I retire. Yeah. See on stage. OnChain Revolution. Done this. Phone.
Welcome back to On-Chain Revolution. My name is Shizzy. On this channel, we cover the entire crypto ecosystem. What is up, guys? We have an amazing show for you guys today. We're live from the On-Chain Hour, and today's show is going to be better than the price action because right now we're getting Bitcoin just below 87,000 at 86,914. Ethereum just above 3,000, and Solana just above 126 here. Tau not doing too great, sitting at 270. Merlin Chain, one of the strongest coins out there right now. This thing is green again, 46 cents. This thing is on a tear. If you would have got this in June, you'd be up almost 8 or 9x right now. And if you staked it, you'd be up like 10 or 15x, honestly. Absolutely huge in the Merlin chain. Agent Hustle doing pretty good today, sitting around 34 cents. I'm sorry, 30034. And then yeah, Hype sitting at $27. Wow, Hype, man. What an opportunity if you truly believe in it. Monad getting hit today. It's just around 2 cents. Aster, great news in Aster land, but down 6.4%. So that's kind of the market right now. It sucks. It's terrible. It's yeah. But the question is, will it get worse? I'm gonna tell you guys right now, it will get worse. So in about 4 days, we're gonna have the Japan rate hike. US is coming down with rates, and they're going up, and this will be the third rate hike. They'll be at 0.75, you know, but there's a thing called the carry trade, which is you take loans out in Japan and you buy US bonds, and then you make the difference, right? The difference was at one point very huge. That trade is actually coming in with the US cutting rates and Japan raising rates. That is actually coming in, which means a lot of people are going to get out of that debt, right? Or get, you know, start less people buying the US debt and stuff like that. So that's a little scary. And every single time that has happened, Bitcoin has dropped drastically. It is looking like we could potentially get down to 70K. It sucks saying that out loud, but we have to go over it. We have to be real with you guys. We're not going to sugarcoat shit here. We're going to be absolutely real where we're going. But we're hoping this is dissolved by the end of this year. We do have about 16 days left in this year before we get into 2026. We do believe 2026 is going to be one of the most bullish years in crypto ever. I believe it's going to make 2021 look boring. Yes, 2021 was absolutely insane. I think 2026 is actually going to look a lot stronger than that because this time around we do have TradFi. We just need to get retail excited again. We need to get retail the opportunity to make money. We need opportunities to make money. We're going to make the money first. They're going to come in and buy our bags. It's going to be okay. Well, I hope so. Right, but without further ado, let's get this show started. Bring in my partner here, as always, Mr. Yagobi. What's up, buddy?
What's up? What's up? What's up?
What's up, man? How are you feeling with this entire market right now, man? I'm sad, bro.
This market is very, I think it's a very specific market for opportunity. I'm starting to realize that if you have a really disciplined spot trading system, that's where the opportunity is for the tokens that have shown at least some sort of, volatility back and forth, right? So, the established stuff. But, not everybody has a lot of capital to do that. And so the newer opportunities, which are the most attractive in our space because the upside is so big, that's just like you're just constantly getting pummeled with those type of attempts and approaches. But with that being said, I'm getting really close because the end of the year is getting really close to kind of admitting that Santa rally might not be coming this year. Everybody's on the naughty list, it seems like, right? And we do have about 2 weeks left, but man, it's cutting it close. There's some people that we know and respect highly that are counting on possibly right around Christmas for things to really jump up. But I don't know, man. It is very, very late in Q4 at this point, and I just don't know if we get it.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that we both preached all year, right? Q4. And so looking back right now, how do you think, this happened, right? Like how did this happen? How did we have such a miserable Q4? I mean, Q4 felt like Q2. Q2, this is exactly what Q2 was.
Yeah, almost. Yeah, I would say like very early Q2, maybe almost the end of Q1, because that's whenever things were kind of still nasty
Yeah, it's
from
10-10,
the
right?
beginning of that quarter. What happened? I think I'll be the first to admit, I feel like I've been ingrained and kind of indoctrinated, maybe. I hate to say that, but like with this 4-year cycle just ironed into my brain, right? And when that happens and you've dealt with multiple cycles and you feel like you have really got the cycle under control, or at least understanding it, and it just flips on you, it's hard to not necessarily be, because I don't think you have to be super stubborn for that. It's really like just trying to learn from the previous cycles and take that into the next one. But because you've witnessed these events the past 2 cycles, you're just so sold on it that you feel like it has to in some sort of way repeat what has happened in history, and it just doesn't seem to be the case this time. But again, there's other reasons that that's probably the case, right? Going into like this extended debt cycle, pushing that out a year, and things like that. But at the end of the day, we soldier on. We put our boots on every morning and go to work and figure it out. And that's what we got to do. I don't have no
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, 100%. And we were definitely on the train of things are going to stay the same. But one thing we weren't thinking about was they're not going to make it easy for us. They're not going to make it easier for us to get in and get out with all of our bags, right? So what they did, and when I say they, I mean traditional finance. I mean the guys who are really buying this market up, right? They are not buying our altcoin bags. They want them, but there's a certain price they want it for them, right? And I think we're getting close and close to that price. And when they start buying, we're gonna notice, right? We're already seeing huge ETF numbers on Solana and an XRP and stuff like that. So they're already in the process of going from Bitcoin, Ethereum into some of these other ones, right? So risk is coming on. You are seeing, a tech stock sell off over the weekend as well, right? On Friday it started and continue today. So and Bitcoin trades like a tech stock. So we are kind of feeling that. We are feeling a lot of people taking profit going into the rest of this year. But we need to get to a point where people are taking new positions for next year. Right. So that's kind of what we need to kind of get used to, is we're on this TradFi cycle where we have to live and die by how they're feeling. And it's different this time.
Yeah, well, and then I've been in a couple of debates back and forth the past 2-3 weeks about, liquidity is not here and how we're just not in a risk on environment. And that's most of the reason why our space, other than Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, look really those top 10 blue chips with a couple anomalies here and there, hyperliquid and stuff like that, Merlin. Everything's been struggling because of that. And their kind of punchback was, well, then how can you explain, the stock market doing well and gold doing well? But if you look at the stock market and gold, First of all, gold's always been of kind of a reach to lifesaver type of asset at some point, right? And then number two, with the stock market, it's been majority, right? Some of these S&P, type of companies that have been in there, the top ones. But the risk on in that area is not doing well either, right? So it's been really just the top one. So more of the safe stocks. So to me, I think that proves more, even a point even more that like we're not in a high liquidity environment, because there are people like the Kathy Woods that takes risk on new emerging tech stocks wasn't doing that, right? So I think that goes hand in hand, and I think you'll probably see that happen next year, where those risky tech stocks will come up, and then we'll see a lot of these altcoins that have potential, shoot up.
Well, she's been buying. She's been buying Circle. She's been buying Coinbase. She's been buying Peter Thiel's exchange. I think it's called like Bullish or something. So like she's been buying some of these risk on tech stocks, but like nothing really happening with them either, right? Stock, the crypto tech stocks are getting beat just as bad as crypto.
Yeah, I think, her being really bullish on the Web3 space probably had something to do with that. But I'm talking about more of like the innovative stuff that's, still a company that's only generating revenue in TradFi of like maybe $2 to $5 million a year, something like that, right? To them, that's high risk. To us, not necessarily. If you're generating 2 to 5 million, that's a good start. But that's the difference. Yeah, that's the difference of the two industries as of now. I think that changes significantly down the road. But I could see some of those tech stocks that are generating $2 to $5 million. Maybe some of them are trying to be startups here as well. But I could see them getting some more attention when we're in a liquid environment. And I think that's whenever we'll probably see that. Because if you remember 2021, that was kind of happening a little bit like simultaneously, or like one after the other. That high risk tech stock sector over there with the Nikolas and those type of companies went, and then you had Web3 kind of they were going one by one, and then you had like assets like collectibles and stuff. They were taking turns, but they were doing it like one after the other. So it's gonna be interesting to see how 2026 plays out. But I think the people that made money in TradFi this year, a lot of them were safer stocks, right? Yeah, they took risk. If they did take risk, it was in the crypto related stocks. Some panned out, some didn't.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things was 90% of retail is in some kind of leverage, right? When it comes to Nvidia and stuff like that. So, we'll see if that leverage kind of pulls over to here as well. But we got some amazing comments in here. We got my man Blazing Bandit Ryan says Santa Claus still alive. Let's go bullish. He said X Ripple base up 700%. What is this, brother? It was 735%. Haha, what's up? He says Santa rally coming. Man, I hope so. And he says Bitcoin does its biggest gains in 10 days out of the year. We got plenty of time for the Santa Claus rally. Yeah, we'll get into that. Get you some Ripple base. Is that a new coin? Oh my God,
X Ripple base, they pumping big time. Dude, I think Ryan Boylan single-handedly is gonna bring Santa back.
Dude, 100%. A shout out to Ryan, though, man. Thank you so much, bro. Santa Rally is alive. X Ripple base. I don't know what Ripple base is. I feel stupid for not knowing.
I'm looking it up. I'm gonna look that up.
We got it's GN DBX. Thank you so much for being here today. What happened? ETFs, manipulation, liquidity. 90% of the top 50 market cap coins have no use case, will not be around in a few years. People don't hodl and selling for the next coin and get wrecked. I mean, I can't argue with you right now. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know if it's just like
90% of the top 50. I think, probably maybe 50%. But us watching the evolution of the top, I think it was like the top 5 or top 10 that we went over yesterday. There's a lot that sticks in there, that hangs around and stuff, right? So yes, there was probably 50 to 60% that we looked back in 2013 when we first started looking at the evolution of the top 10 that weren't there anymore. But then there was some like XRP that could have disappeared and stayed in the top 10 the entire time, even though it dropped out of the top 5 and came back. So 90%, I don't know, maybe 50. That is pretty kind of deep. I don't know. Usually 90% of the top 50 will be gone. You think that? I mean, you're looking at like 40. So 40 out of 50 eliminated.
Unless he means getting replaced by other ones.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
see them outside the top like 5.
Yeah.
but
That's
like
what she means.
means like kind of getting pushed out of the top 50. I could see that. I could see 90% getting pushed out. Not like Ave and not like,
Yeah, 45 out of 50 would be gone and replaced, is what she's saying.
I don't know about gone, but they could be replaced in the top 50. You could see some of these drips.
Yeah, I mean, there has to be replaced.
Yeah,
because there's going to be
100%.
stuff that's there. Yeah.
WebDro says the printers are on at all these sellers. So all these sellers are just afraid of the bear market. Yeah, that's a problem too. People still think if people still think the 4-year cycle is in, then they think 10.6 was the top. And people that think 10.6 is the top, they think the bear market's going to go until 10.6 of next year.
Yeah, and it takes a lot to bring the belief back. We see that every single day, right? So even if there is money printers on right now and liquidity is being spread out, they need to see evidence of these coins going up, and eventually it will happen. But that could take a couple months, 2 to 6 months,
100%.
right? But there are people that are saying if this is truly a bear market, it could be one of the shortest that we've ever seen, because 2026 is primed. I mean, you can't deny that, but because going into QE softly right now without technically saying quantitative easing, and then let's say 3 months later they technically say it, and then you have new chair, interest rates are going to be cut once he comes in, and they're going to be aggressive on pumping the economy. So 2026 has a lot of potential.
It really does. Myself says I'm just gonna keep DCAing in preparation for the future. Alt season will come someday. I agree. Ryan said I'm trying, my boy. You're single-handedly keeping the gold check mark on the OnChain Revolution account. No, I'm just kidding. But we really appreciate it, man. He said I don't think most people understand how big what's actually happening. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, though, is like we talk about things every single day about, the bond market coming on chain, this coming on chain, but none of that pumps our bags. Right, whether JPMorgan is doing some stuff with Ethereum or whatever, nothing is happening. It's like we're at the point right now where no news sideways, good news red news. I mean red news. Like bad news red. Everything is red. Everything is red or sideways. Like that's bear market.
Yeah, and you got to also think about and I know that we brought this up a couple of times. The .com bubble went through a kind of a similar situation where it was extremely volatile to the upside a lot, right, and then crashed really hard. And then as these new companies were emerging and taking their position as leaders in that space, it probably was a bit boring as well initially, until it started to pick up and people realized that, okay, these are the winners. And then what are some solid potential new opportunities that are actual real? Because there was a lot of LARPs actually from web 2 that came out of that. Hey, we're gonna sell pet food, we're gonna sell this and that and the other. Revenue wasn't showing. So we could be in that transition now.
100%. Let's get into today's topic. Santa rally canceled. Is all hope lost? So what do you think? Do you think 10 days left? Jake Allen came on the show a couple weeks ago, and he basically said that he's bullish on the last 2 weeks of December. Do you see it? Is there any hope left when it comes to the Santa Claus rally?
I don't know, but if he gets that right, I'm definitely gonna be just putting my whole strategy into kind of what he's projecting for 2026. No, I'm just kidding, but he's been pretty on point, right? Like his big deal is he keeps saying the 50th, not 50th, 50th. Was it how many years? What will the anniversary?
250 anniversary.
Okay, 250 year anniversary in July 4th. So that's his big kind of peak of the market, which would be amazing. But in terms of the Santa rally not coming this year, going into December, I felt like a good 60% chance was going to happen.
Yeah,
I'm about at like 30 to 25% now. So
I'm at 6.
Yeah, I felt like you were probably starting at 20.
Yeah, I wasn't far away from where I didn't. So I watch a lot of the stock guys, right? I watch them every morning from 8 to 9 Eastern time, and they basically saying don't expect the Santa Claus rally. So a lot of the TradFi stuff now really gets stuck when I'm looking at the crypto stuff, because I am seeing a correlation, and it's a tight correlation right now. I'm hoping that correlation breaks, but right now you kind of got to go by what the experts are saying, and these experts been around trading since 98, 96, right? For the guys that I watch. So it's kind of like you can't like deny their experience, and you got to at least minimal listen to what they're saying.
Yeah, I agree. You know, because they're very tuned into macro, and you know we're starting to realize, like you said, it's becoming more aligned with them, with our space. But I will say, like every once in a while, there'll be an asset class that kind of does its own thing. I feel like gold kind of went on this crazy run earlier this year. So who knows, right? At the end of the day, the percentages of probability to me have gone down for sure, but I'm not completely gonna count it out just yet. I will say though, if we're in the similar situation by next Monday, we got like probably like 7 days, 8 days left. That's probably going to go down pretty significantly in terms of probability for me.
100%. No, I agree. 140 million liquidated from crypto in the past 60 minutes. So in the last hour, we saw $140 million. $140 million liquidated. So that's happening, right? So there is something I spoke about a little bit, but I would love to know your opinion on this. So we could see another major crypto market crash in December, and here's why. So this is the Japan carry trade, right? So we are seeing that on the 19th of December, they are expected 98% chance of a 25 basis point increase. So it's guaranteed to happen. So looking back at this, we've seen that them at zero, you know, for most of history, the last like 10, 15 years anyway. And they've recently just came up, and they you know, they raised 0.25, and then that was in September of 2024. And then in March of 2024, and you gotta remember, we've seen a pump after this one, right? So a huge pump up, but it went down first. And same thing here. We saw, you know, a pump going into it, drop down, and then a pump after. What are you kind of expecting for this? Do you think this is a correlation, or do you think this is just coincidence?
There's definitely a correlation there. The second one does seem a bit more extended. I don't know if that's just zoomed in, but it seems extended to the downside versus the first one. Seems, yeah, it did pull back down, but it was a little bit of chop before it rose back up. The second situation was more of a straight decrease, you know, downtrend, and then you saw the pullback up. So, you know, either way, expecting a pullback is probably logical, right? Or it is logical. I mean, you see the two, but this is the thing this is the reason why I get lost a lot of times in the sauce here, is because I'm an analytics guy. I've always been, because digital marketing leverages analytics heavily, right? And so when you're seeing this, I can't help but to think that we're going to have some sort of pullback, right? How long does it last? That's the question. But regardless, I mean, it you know, at best case scenario, you're looking at like a slight downtrend, or like, yeah, a slight downtrend with choppy to the, you know, to the sideways, which, and then when does that turnaround happen, right? So
yeah,
not looking good there.
Both case scenarios, we did run up into it. We didn't really have, I mean, I guess you can call it a run up. But like, you know, let's just say we don't start here. Let's just say we start here. We could potentially, you know, come back down to 80,000 before next run up. And what that will do is that will give us that double bottom. TradFi loves double bottoms when it comes to trading these assets. So, I mean, that could be best case scenario as we go down after the 19th, let's say the 21st, 22nd, we hit that 80,000, and then that marks the bottom right before Christmas, and we never see it again. Right. So,
yeah, I mean, you know, the faster we can get through that, the better.
Yeah. All right. Ready for some DATs? You haven't talked about DATs in a while. So
for good reason.
MicroStrategy has bought 10,645 Bitcoin worth $980 million. They now hold 671,000 Bitcoin, just above 3%. Tom Lee actually said hold my beer, and they bought 102,000 Ethereum worth 321 million. I guess, yeah, a quarter of what Sailor bought, but or a third of what Sailor bought last week, bringing total holdings to 3.9 million. They hold just below 4%, but still in 3% range. So my question for you right now today, and you had to hold it for the next 10 years, will you be holding Sailor's and 71,000 Bitcoin, or Tom Lee's 3.9 million ETH? They're both around the same percentage points of Bitcoin. Let's just say 3% of each supply.
If we get the 2026 that we expect, I think the ceiling is, Ethereum, right? Because it's just smaller market cap. It has more potential for multiplier to the upside.
Remember, this
What's
is a 10-year hold, though.
10-year hold? And what's the value of the Bitcoin? I'm curious that he acquired.
He just acquired 980 million, like another $1 billion.
Okay. Yeah.
So the value portions are, he has about $70 billion. Tom Lee has about 30 billion.
But you're saying the supplies are on the same.
Yeah, the supplies are on the same. For me, I'll answer this. I think holding the Ethereum is the way to go. I think there's a couple reasons why. The number one reason for me is I'm able to stake it for those 10 years. So according to Tom Lee, he's able to make $1 million a day. With Bitcoin, you cannot safely stake it without a third party. I'm okay with third parties, but in this situation, we're not going to. You're not allowed to give it to a third party. You can just stake it on chain, or that's it, right? So for me, I'm actually going to be staking this on chain with Ethereum validators. If the validators fail, then Ethereum fails, so it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
And I'm actually banking on Ethereum not failing, right, for the next 10 years. And I'd rather hold the ETH because I think Ethereum can be 20K, which is potentially a 5x from where it is today, if 6x, 7x from where it is today. I think Bitcoin can do a 3-4x, right? I think that's about fair going into what I think is going to be the most bullish year ever next year. For me, I think Tom Lee catches Sailor next year when it comes to value of these holdings, and I think he 10x's Sailor over the course of the next 10 years.
That's going to be weird a little bit, I feel like. But yeah, I mean, logically it makes sense. But it would be weird for him to be valued more. But he's just like acquiring like tons, right?
Yeah.
So like, and he doesn't stop, which, to me, I think you got to pay attention to that, right? Both of them are continuing, even though like the market isn't like the friendliest right now, they're continuing what their strategy is. Sure, it's scaled down, but it's still happening. And these are large amounts of money still. But yeah, I mean, 10-year hold, I think you got to go with Ethereum. I mean, it's like the best yield bank account that you could ever have, right?
Yep.
And so, what people are projecting Ethereum's value would be, I think Tom Lee's going to be filthy rich, or BitMine is going to be filthy rich. So.
Yeah, the shareholders are going to be, I think, doing really well for sure. All right, so look at the comments here. Yes, Shizzy, I'm with you there. ETH is going to 63K. I do think Ethereum could hit 100K someday. I do think of Bitcoin that same day, Bitcoin will be at $1 million. But you got to think, ETH at 100K is like a 30x, right, from where it is right now. And Bitcoin, that's only a 10.2x, right? So that's the difference for me. Tom Lee, it's a shakeable and makes sense. We got a cat post from the guys over on Kick, and then Blazing Bandit says, so will Guava keep the faith? Wealth is coming. What's Guava?
Guava.
Guava. What is that?
Well, guava is a fruit.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know. I never heard
but
of
I don't
guava.
know. I feel like he's referring to some sort of protocol or something, or a person.
Glasshopper says he has not lost hope. Shout out to Glasshopper for a Santa Claus rally. Let's move along though. $4 trillion JPMorgan to launch first tokenized money market fund on Ethereum. They have chose Ethereum to be their chain of choice for all of their tokenized assets. How do you feel about this? I hate JPMorgan. I hate the CEO there. I don't even want to say his name because he's a scumbag. But what do you think about them choosing Ethereum? I think this is the right choice.
Yeah, I think it is too. If you look at security, they're considered, the one after Bitcoin, right? And so it is proof of stake, but we know that JPMorgan's leadership believes in like blockchain technology, and that's the future with smart contract capabilities, those type of things. But also they want to be on the most trusted chain, right? And I think that it makes sense for them to be on Ethereum, right? So I think it's a big win for Ethereum, even though like I'm in the same boat as you. I don't like JPMorgan, or at least like their CEO. leadership, because I feel like he's never genuine. But like, can you be in this market at that position? Probably not, or you're going to be, it's a dog eat dog world for them. But yeah, this is big for Ethereum and big for JPMorgan. $4 trillion. That's a lot.
For sure. The SEC has pulled back from its crypto enforcement since Trump returned to office, easing over 60% of ongoing cases. So we've seen the greatest SEC in crypto's history, right? But crypto is not seeing the effects of that when it comes to price action. Do you think this type of stuff is like a laggard effect, that it just takes time? Because it just doesn't make any sense. We've had the most lenient SEC we've ever had, and crypto has been, just sideways and down. And then, Gary Gensler, we had the most terrible SEC when it comes to those assets, and it was kind of up only in a sense from at least Gary Gensler's tenured, right? So what do you think?
Yeah, so I think two things. One, that whenever the SEC before with Gary Gensler was there, they had more liquid markets, and it was kind of like, all these whales and stuff were participating. It was more retail whales that were manipulating, but it was manipulation to one side or the other that was pretty obvious, right? So if you manipulate to the upside and everything is running together, then people can win together. If you manipulate to the downside and everything's running down together, you can, have success to the downside, actually, if you short correctly and all these things, right? And this situation is completely different because it isn't a liquid year in terms of, just available liquidity in our markets. One, and number two, the institutions are now here and they're dictating and kind of, boxing out and really throwing elbows to show like that the power they have. And whether that means to drive price down to get cheaper assets, or to say, hey, look, we're done buying for a bit and the market's going to go down and suffer and all these things. And, we're going to buy cheap once that happens to be prepared for a liquid market next year. And you guys can't do anything about it, even though like we're probably not even on their mind, to be honest, because they're dealing with such large size. The people that are really struggling are the native Web3 people that are trying to figure things out and time things. This has been the worst year for timing in the market. There's people that talk about like time in the market is more valuable than timing in the market. But in the previous cycles, I agree, like time in the market, you get that experience, market experience, all those things you learn. But you do kind of leverage that knowledge to time the market as well. And it's been the worst year to time the market, the worst cycle to time it. But, it's there. We didn't have all of the details in our mind at the same time with, us being tightening still and all these things, how much it has an effect, all this stuff. So, that's why I am getting bullish on 2026, but at the same time, I am trying to take it in segments at a time, right? So not trying to get too far ahead of myself with it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think the same thing. It's just one of those things where I do feel like it's a laggard effect, though. I do think this stuff takes time to kind of work through the system. And we're going to get to a point now where it's like, we're not worried about the SEC. Numbers are going up. And we're kind of just excited about like all the bad news is just not coming once we start getting bullish again. So it's just, we just need that lighter, that match hit the lighter fluid, and then everything just explodes at once. And I think that does happen Q1 of next year. I really do think that happens. All right. So this one's interesting. Aster is something we were talking about this, months ago, but Aster has been, really doing good now. And, they have been at it back by DeFi Llama. So they've got their ducks in a row here. It's not bad data anymore, but you're seeing Aster in number one spot sitting at 6.55 billion. Lighter is sitting at 4.8 and Hyperliquid is sitting 3.17. Hyperliquid's just kind of been down only in price action, but so is Aster. Do you think this is reflecting the overall market, or do you think that potentially these numbers are going to skyrocket for Hyperliquid and then they can take back that number one spot again?
I think they're taking advantage of opportunities, whether that's, trying to get users, you're incentivizing them to farm your platform. Hyperliquid did that as well, but they did it very, with their community directly and things like that, right? And I think there would be a lot of people in the space right now that wish that they had farmed Hyperliquid in its earlier days. And so Lighter's kind of going through that moment right now, I feel like, and they've been kind of leading the past 3-4 weeks. But with Aster, having these legit numbers, I'm not too shocked here either, because they just got a lot of support. They have a lot of support, through Binance, through CZ and that type of thing. So eventually, they're going to get the users because of that. And maybe they improve their UI as well, because I did hear a lot of people not happy with their UI before. So maybe that's why. But at the end of the day, they're taking the lead. I would say if Hyperliquid can't regain the top spot here in the next 2 months, 3 months, then I'm not worried about them necessarily, but they truly do have like strong competition at this point, right? Because Lighter, I think we got to look at Lighter after they have their airdrop and what that looks like. Once you give the rewards to the users, they're obviously not going to be farming as much. So do they continually use it? Do they like it? You got to keep adding features, I think, though, if you're a perp Stex, because this is going to get to a point to where everybody wants to be the king here. They want to get all the users, all the fees. So what else can you offer? You're going to have to offer spot. Make sure you offer spot in like more available tokens, right? Because I think like Hyperliquid right now, like for example, Merlin, I don't think they offer spot for Merlin, but they offer perps for Merlin, right? And so stuff like that, little things like that. Also, what else, who's going to be the first to integrate options? Are they afraid to integrate options? Are they afraid that it's going to take away from their revenue that they can make, right? So, this is going to be a competitive sector of our space, and whoever has the best user experience and adds as many features that makes people's lives easier and opportunities to make more money, I think is going to be the top winner.
Yeah, no, I agree. But like I don't get the hate on the UI. I like the UI a lot. Like I think it works really great. It's pretty simple too. I mean, you come here, Bitcoin 200x, you pick that, and then you just go, right? Like I don't get the hate on it.
Listening to
spot is awesome. I like the spot market.
Yeah, I was listening to a space with James Wynn that was talking about that, but I mean, I don't know. He definitely was a big Aster, cheerleader after he was a big, Hyperliquid cheerleader. So was it sponsorship type of thing? I don't know. But at the end of the day, now he's kind of back on Hyperliquid, saying that Aster doesn't have a great user experience, this, that, and the other. Those are things they can fix, though, right? Like even if there is not a great user experience, or some people don't like it, Aster can fix that. They'll get all the data and feedback that they need, because I'm sure they have the their team is on top of that. So it's more of how can you incentivize the user? How can you add more features? Those type of things, because they have the backing for sure to be able to be a leader in this competitive. That's getting more competitive, this space, right? Because Solana is going to have their own. But Hyperliquid's in a good spot, man. I think they're just chilling. I mean, they've made so much revenue for the past 2-3 years. They're in a good spot.
Yeah, I think what Aster has a lot to look forward though to as well. Yeah, remember their chain drops in January. They said January. Then they're doing an airdrop in February, and then staking in March. Right? They have all this lined up. Aster, yeah. So chain January, airdrop February, staking March. I mean, that's all coming, and I'm curious how fast it's. I mean, it's already fast as hell, right? Working on BNB, but what's going to happen when it's on the BNB L2, right? Where only transactions that are happening are going to be in Aster. Very similar to how Hyperliquid uses, Arbitrum. So it's like I think this could actually be something, and Binance is going to be a part of that, right? They're going to be either running a validator or something. They're going to be a part of what's going on. Potentially, what the rumor is, Binance wants to put all their perps and all their liquidity on Aster once everything is proven that it works correctly, and that could be something that changes the game. When Binance, when you're buying on Binance, you're just using their front end interface, and you're actually participating in Aster in the back end.
Yeah, that's gonna be a big change for I feel like these centralized exchanges that are so used to having control over everything, but if they feel like there's no issue in terms of just feeding everything to on-chain, and they're still going to make their fees and all those things. And I guess that's what the plan's going to be, right? But having, total control over the centralized exchange part, how does that change? You know what I mean? I don't know. It's interesting because they're all doing it. They're all transitioning to this hybrid style, centralized, decentralized approach.
what it
Also,
takes,
why
though,
isn't there a big platform on Solana that's huge because of the speed? Plus Monad, I would think would have like a big opportunity because their speed from an EVM tech stack is amazing as well.
yeah, I mean, Phantom's allowing you to deposit into into Hyperliquid and doing everything.
They're-
So Phantom.
yeah,
So the
exactly.
problem is liquidity, right? So the reason why some of these DYDX and stuff never really took off, and I looked into this, and talking about it last week, was the liquidity just isn't there. You know, if everything
Couldn't
goes
they
one
get
side,
it?
no, I mean you need investors. Like that's why it's important for Hyperliquid to kind of keep raising money, because at some point they need to grow their liquidity. With Binance coming in and adding liquidity potentially to Aster, Aster is going to be the most liquid exchange, perp exchange out there, right? It's going to be insanely liquid, and what that does, that basically takes all the fees and stuff to zero, and allows someone like Binance to say, hey, yeah, if you still buy through us, we'll make sure we custody your spot. But when you're using perps, you're using Aster, right? And they'll make a fee off being the front end for that, right? So they're bringing on all their customers and everything. But if you wanted to go around that fee, you would just go use the Aster chain itself. So I think there's going to be stuff there as well. But I don't know. I think you're going to see Aster potentially be the back end for a ton of these perp exchanges because of liquidity.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. But I have to imagine that like Hyperliquid is pretty liquid. You know what I mean? Like it's got to be pretty liquid. I mean, being the
No, they are.
dominant perps dex for over 2 years, right? But that's obviously at levels, right? Like they're probably the most liquid perps dex at some point in the past 2 years, and like you said, Binance, which has a ton of money, can really inject more into Aster. But at some point, I feel like you're pretty good. You know what I mean? You're pretty safe for the most part, right? Hyperliquid is probably in that bucket.
And then Binance can kind of like, at that point, Binance can go public as well, because they're no longer offering any gambling or anything like that, because all they're doing is allowing you to use a third party. Very similar to how Coinbase is allowing you to buy spot, right? So it's very similar to what Coinbase is doing in the sense of, hey, we're just allowing we're helping our users use on-chain products. And Binance goes public, they're now the largest spot trading platform out there. Everyone just goes there for spot, but the perps are all done through an on-chain environment, which they're not liable for. So, and it stops something like 10.6 from ever happening again.
Well,
Bug in the code. Yeah. All right. We'll move along now. So ETF flows, Bitcoin, ETH, and Solana, XRP. This is actually something I thought was really interesting. So you're seeing last week, you're seeing $286 million in Bitcoin, and this is all inflows, which I was shocked about. ETH had 208, which is right under Bitcoin. And then SOL and XRP. XRP is doing more inflows than SOL. So when inflows are created is when the company behind the ETF actually has to make more shares. So they had to make 286 million more shares. They had to make 208 million more shares.
so demand is
They had
up.
to make 33. Demand is high on trading these assets right now. So the inflows are happening, which is basically making these more and more liquid.
Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin, Ethereum, no shocker that they're number 1 and 2. A little bit of shocker
What about
that
XRP?
Yeah, a little bit of shocker that XRP is up there, but kind of not really.
Yeah.
If there's one of token that's more TradFi and banker style token, it's XRP. Everybody knows that, right? And so I guess that's probably what gives them a little bit of an extra push here. But I do think Solana, can have and like very much compete with XRP and maybe pass them in the future as they continually grow. And but they are right now, I feel like Solana is like their identity is a little bit mixed, because they're kind of like the playground casino, but at the same time they have serious tech too as well. So they're trying to balance that, and it's a little bit hard, right? Ethereum got away from a lot of the childish stuff almost, right? And so we'll see what Solana ends up doing with that, because it's a big part of their volume. I mean, let's just be honest. Like the launchpad's a huge part of their volume.
Yeah, I mean, that's why Solana is number 1, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much everything. And here it is right here. So Solana logged in the second month in a row where they've just been killing it, right? 26%. So Solana Base and Ethereum still lead interest in blockchain ecosystem. So Solana's doubling Base chain. right? Base chain is just above Ethereum, so they're doubling ETH and Base combined. Or not doubling, they're basically ETH and Base combined right now. Solana is the chain with the most retail interest right now, by far.
Yeah, and do you think Base? Are you surprised to see that with Base and kind of what they've done in terms of their effort to promote Base chain? You know, they've done a lot. I feel like or at least it seems like it from surface level, right? They're pushing Zora really hard. They have like this build on Base channel. They have all these things that, like, you know, Jesse Pollak is a big personality on X, but it seems like they like, as the harder they push, it's almost like they can't get the momentum. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe, do you think that's an off perspective that I have?
Just a slightly, and that slightly is that they're above Ethereum, right? So if they were below Ethereum, I would 100% agree with you. My only argument is them being number 2, right? So you got to remember how big number 2 actually is, or being the number 2 over BNB, Sui.
True.
Like,
True. They are
you know
big,
what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
over BNB.
it's, you know, just because you're not the biggest, you know, in the space, and Solana had, you know, 5 years to grow. You got to remember, Base dropped, I want to say, like 2022, while Solana dropped in like 2019, right? So I think that's kind of where it is too. But I do think once we have that Base token, I think everything changes. I think Base competes heavily for that, because a lot of people are going to be like, first let me grind for that Base airdrop, and then once you have the airdrop, it's going to feel good about using that new money you have to make more money. And where you're going to do it from, you're not going to send it to an exchange or bridge it out. You're going to just play where you're playing. And I do think that brings a lot of opportunity, because you're going to see a lot of these builders want people's airdrop, right? They're going to like do all this kind of cool stuff with the Base token in the sense of trying to create opportunity for that and allow you to do things with your Base token. So you're going to see a lot of opportunity come. So I do think Base eventually takes number 1, but I think Solana eventually comes back and takes Base. But I do think it's going to be closer to about, like, let's just say Base gets down to like 23, or Base gets up to like 23, but Solana stays around 26, where a lot of the percentages kind of leave chains like XRP, Sonic, you know, they've actually come down a lot more. Even Sui probably dropped a little bit there.
Yeah, I guess I just expected it to be a little bit closer right now, right? Like, I expected it to be more like 18% to 26% of interest in Base, right? Versus Solana, because they do have, I feel like they have an advantage, not just, well, I mean, Coinbase itself, right? And Brian Armstrong being connected to, you know, constantly going to DC to advocate and all these things, and they do have a good connection to TradFi as well. They're public, and so it's just, it throws me off in that aspect that they're not closer right now, but you know, they are above Ethereum, Sui, and all. You know, BNB is the one that does kind of shock me a little bit, but it's also, they are in the East, right? So I think that they probably start to catch up a little bit, as well as like the current administration more starting to become more and more friendly with Binance and those, you know, the East in our space. So I think BNB chain starts to move up a little bit, and then maybe you're right about Base. You know, over time they start to gain more ground. Solana, though, you got to take advantage of this right now. You know what I mean? So I think they're trying to, right? Like, you're pushing hard for like the Solana Seeker. They're trying to do these things to where they're getting users for builders, a bunch of stuff, right? So I would say they got to, you know, keep pressing on the gas. But you know, how do they balance out the memes side of things? Maybe they just kind of let the meme part of their change just do its thing, and then the leadership of Solana, you know, be more and more serious about like what's happening with different products and protocols, and get that perps dex going, which I think that, you know, they're going to be doing that very soon. So
yeah, but you have to remember, though, Base is about to see $15 billion in new liquidity entering, and that's just with that Base token alone. Where is that liquidity going to come from? It's probably going to beat down a lot of these other chains, right? I think a lot of money is going to come from inflowing from ETH, inflowing from Solana, because the Base token, I think we both can agree, it's a minimum going to be half of Solana, right? The in market value. So
I think so. Case, yeah, it's going to have a strong market cap to kick off.
Potentially 50 billion. Let's just say the team holds 30% of it with the foundation.
I think that's probably a little high to start off.
Not with. In the early days, I think, you know, because what they're going to do is they're going to fund projects with that. you know what I mean, and stuff like that. So a lot of it will start there, but then probably fall off quickly when it comes to funding stuff like Banker and bringing new
I just
projects
think
in.
50 billion is extremely high. You know, and I get it. Like, you know, it's not going to be a high circulating supply, but could they get to 50 billion in a highly liquid market? Yeah, I think so. But like kicking it off right off the jump at 50 billion, I think that's a little high.
Yeah, yeah, you're probably right. Now I think about it, you are seeing Solana at 70. So let's just say 26, right? We're
Yeah,
charting.
I could see something. I could see something like between 10 and 20, low 20s, something like that.
For sure. Yeah, I maybe over time, but yeah, for sure. All right, the CME Group will now allow XRP and Solana futures. So we do know that that was a big, huge thing going on before the Bitcoin ETF was really in there. The CME picked it up. CME is the what is it? Chicago Mercantile Exchange. It's like the #1 place to trade futures. So when you're trading futures, you think of it as like just taking leverage on tokens. It's basically very similar to that. It's you know, you're not actually trading the asset itself, you're trading the price range of that asset, which creates these what they call them CME gaps and stuff like that. So potentially now we're going to see CME gaps on XRP and Solana, which is going to get TradFi to talk about this. Right now you can trade milk, you can trade oil, you can trade a lot of other stuff on CME right now as these future products, and now XRP and SOL are officially a part of that.
Yeah, so I imagine Bitcoin, Ethereum are already there.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, you know, getting that TradFi exposure is extending a little bit down the list here. So that's good.
For sure. So last thing before we get into the Bitcoin price action, correlations between the largest cryptos has been unusually high in the past 7 days. Does that concern you at all? Correlations are pretty much neck and neck with everything. I mean, this is the closest besides like Tron and BNB, which we know is the East. But look at this. Look at the correlations between Bitcoin and these. It's absolutely insane. This has never really happened before, to where everything is just 2% this way, 2% this way, 3% this way. It's like this is not real. Like, this is like trading the same asset. It doesn't matter what you hold.
Yeah, I mean, these are the top blue chips, right? So I'm starting to feel like this is kind of an effect from TradFi, right? And so for people that have a portfolio of blue chips in the top 15 tokens or whatever, they're probably okay with this because, you know, we swing low together, we swing high together, right? So I mean, is it a good thing? I think it's probably a good thing to have less volatility across like the staple tokens of our industry, right? Well, I guess the volatility would it would be a combined, right? Like they swing because it's still volatile, right? And we're still seeing that. But the fact that you can kind of sit in some of these top tokens of portfolio wise and then not worry too much that they're deviating necessarily from each other, I think that's probably a good thing.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing because you're not seeing these bleed into Bitcoin. And that's what normally happens in a bear market. Everything's red but Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin's red, they're down double, right? So that's kind of another reason why I don't think we're in a bear market in the sense of what a bear market used to be, is because you're not seeing these assets bleed into Bitcoin, and Bitcoin still go down. You're kind of just seeing everything kind of sit there and do nothing. Like, there's just no interest in buying or selling right now. And I think that's a big deal when there's no interest in selling, when everyone's telling you it's a bear market. It seems like all the retail and all the people who are not in these long term have gotten out already. So this could be a bottom signal, a nice big bottom signal staring us right in the face.
Yeah, it could be because you're absolutely right. It does, you know, altcoins do bleed into Bitcoin, right? And you usually see Bitcoin dominance start to creep back up pretty strong. And we really haven't seen that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is a good sign, and it's there. You know, I'm starting to be more conservative with trading tokens, and there's a do not do anything zone. And I feel like we're kind of there.
Yeah,
like you know what I mean?
100%.
Like we're in this do not do anything zone for the blue chips in our space, and people aren't doing anything because they're the ones that hold those that have size are smart. And but that's a bullish thing because it's kind of like you're in purgatory right now, waiting for a more liquid environment and for things to get better. and maybe you're paying a little bit more attention into other parts of your overall portfolio, whether it's a little bit of TradFi, you know, precious metals, whatever, because you know that you're good in, you know, the blue chip portfolio that you have in crypto, right? So I think it's an overall good thing, and people that can be patient, the patient are the ones that win, right? You know, it pays to be patient. So
100%. All right, ready for the Bitcoin price action and crypto bubbles. I'm excited to kind of see you say, I'm actually okay with you being bearish today. I kind of want us to go down the next 4 days to hit that 80K mark. I do. I'm just gonna double bottom this thing and let's ride.
Let's take it down. Let's take it down. But before we get into the Bitcoin price action, guys, help us out on the YouTube side of things. Smash that like, subscribe to the channel. Like Ryan Boylan always says, and we appreciate you guys for helping us out. Subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on, all that good stuff, so you know when we go live on X. Share the space. Let's get as many people in here as possible there. Abstract, Pump Streams, Zora, Kick, Twitch, and Rumble. Don't forget Spotify as well. We appreciate all your support, guys. Let's take a look here at Bitcoin on this hour chart, which looks disgusting. But you know, if we're going to take it down, let's take it down in fashion, right? So we're sitting here at like 90,000 just to kind of start this down trend waterfall that we're in right now. 4 1-hour candles in a row are red. You can see the stochastics just getting to the oversold territory as well. So we could have more damage in the works because we're just now arriving here. But you can see the MACD looks pretty strong to the downside as well, guys. So look, it doesn't look like it's going to necessarily let up anytime soon. And taking a look here at some support and resistance going to, let's squeeze in a little bit. All right, let's see. All right, we'll go there. About 7 a.m. Eastern here. So we have pulled some balance here in terms of support, pulling up a little bit below that very, very tiny volume though. Support does kick in there above resistance, and it's kind of seesawing back and forth above here. Go to the higher volume areas though, right here. Resistance kicking that butt, you can see right here in this area. So it's probably what's keeping us down, is that, you know, this area of resistance is pretty lopsided to have the advantage here. So how low do we go? I'm not sure, but it does look like there's probably a little bit lower in the works here. As you can see, we're at 86, 260, 250. If we lose this down here, you can see all this right here below is, you know, the advantage goes to resistance for sure. So we could see something like 85, 84. And if it gets crazy this week, you know, do we revisit some of those, you know, lows that we saw 3 weeks ago at 80,000 around that mark? We'll see. We'll see. But anyway, so that is Bitcoin on the hour chart for you guys. I'm expecting a little bit of chop to the downside. Wouldn't be surprised if we dip below 86, and then we'll see where we go from there. And that's probably the next couple of hours, right? 2, 4, 6 hours to see how far we bleed out there. And then taking a look at Bitcoin on the 4-hour. This is nasty. This is real nasty on the MACD. You can see going back to last Wednesday, it's just been sell pressure session, right? With a little bit of a breather. It's like a seal coming up for air for a quick second and then just getting beat down again. And it kicked back down. So yeah, this is not looking good for the 4-hour either. So yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if we do get below 86 and we start messing with 85, 84,000. We could see an extension of the 4-hour sell pressure session here, and you know, for the next couple of days could be red. So that is Bitcoin on the hour and 4-hour. Looking at daily here, it looks like we're about to lose this buy pressure session, which makes sense. Now, we've been here for a good little minute. Was it the best buy pressure session? No, but it was better than what we had been getting, right? So we did have a little bit of a breather here, and now it looks like it wants to lose that session to sell pressure here. So, you know, we're probably going to go into a sell pressure session on the daily. So everything is matching up to what I've been saying on each time frame. We're getting kind of, you know, evidence on the higher time frames that we're probably going to go into a sell session overall. And how low do we go? That's what we're going to find out, right? And because I said that, I'm probably going to be wrong, and it's probably going to shoot up to like 92. No, I'm just kidding. But it could happen. But that is what I'm seeing, you know, for the hour, 4-hour, and daily here. One thing I did want to check out was the weekly chart for Bitcoin, because this is something that we have been going over quite a bit I want to get out of this. Let's see. So this is the weekly chart for Bitcoin. And when we saw this first candle finish on the weekly candle below the 50 SMA here, we saw one follow up here. So this typically, if you look in the past, confirms that there is a bear market. There wasn't an anomaly though, and I'm going to show you guys. And I'm hoping that this is similar to that. So if you look here, bear market in 2021 when this happened. If you look here, bear market in 2018 after the cycle peaks, right? Now we did have this little kind of weird situation that it happened here in early 2021, kind of late 2019, right? And a lot of people are comparing this year to 2019, right? So we could see something like this, right? But I think it would have to be a pretty quick type of situation to where we're not having extended extended stay below like this that happened in 2021 at the end of that year. So it would have to be a pretty quick dip down here and jump up. But if you're looking here at this example, and this is when COVID happened too, so there was that COVID dump that made this happen, right? So you can see it was basically February of 2020 of when this first started, late February, and it lasted until May. So you're looking February to March to April to May. So about 3-month period, right? And so if you look here, and when we first started this, this was November, the beginning of November. So if you go November to December, December to January, January to February, it's almost kind of lining up perfect to what we said could be the start to a bullish 2026, right? So let's see what happens, guys. I am hoping that this does bounce out above this pretty soon, right? So because that would make me feel kind of like I'm right on that, and could give us a good start to next year, at least like in that late winter time period. But let's go to Ethereum real quick. Ethereum on the hour is very similar to Bitcoin. It's looking like it wants to go down, and unfortunately, we lost $3,000 just now, right? So Ethereum's been just back and forth, above 3,000, below 3,000, but it is aligning with Bitcoin, right? So very similar situation in terms of, probably further down is what we should expect here for ETH. And then the 4-hour just opened back up. As you can see, the sell pressure session just opened back up. So very similar situation. How low do we go, right? We could definitely see 28, maybe we see 27, right? So that is definitely on the table. And so, we need a hard reversal from some sort of news or something to drive us that way for both Bitcoin and Ethereum. But as of right now, if we're just going to play off of the current sentiment and what we have on the table, I do expect a downtrend for both here in the, at least until midweek, from what I'm seeing at least. Now, anything can change, manipulation, stuff like that. But I'm just going based off of this, very high level type of data that I'm using. So that's Bitcoin, Ethereum for you guys. This ain't gonna look good. Crypto bubble is definitely looking beat up. This is the top 100. You see mix again, just kind of just staying in the mix, right? Up 10%, man. Why doesn't anybody ever talk about mix? Like, I wonder what their platform is like in terms of a user. I'm going to use it. I'm going to use mix just to kind of test it out to see. But they're up 10% and they're a perps dex, right? So I wonder if they're going to have their kind of moment in the spotlight at some point. I do know that they are on multiple.
Aster goes to L2. As Aster goes to its own L2, mix could be sitting there with people not willing to really.
Because I do know that I think they're on multiple chains, but BNB is obviously one of them. BSC is. Yeah. So they're up 10% here. You're seeing Morpho up about 5%. So they're big lending, borrowing and lending protocol. Isn't that what they do?
Yeah, borrowing and lending.
Yeah, borrowing and lending on Ethereum there. And you got HTX. Haven't seen them in a while. They're up 1.1%. Zcash up 1.4%. So, they are, it's interesting. They're back to $400, right? $6 billion market cap. Interesting. Yeah. So they are back in the green, and you got Tron up 1.1%. Everything else pulling back about 4 to 7% on average. So Midnight still getting beat up, down 15% here. And then you got SPX down about 9%, with Ondo kind of following that, down 9%. Virtual is down 8%. Aster down 9%. Everything else is kind of in that range of 4 to 7. In the top 200, Pippin, this meme coin that like literally shot out of nowhere back out of nowhere because they had a great start in the beginning of the year. They're back over, they're almost back over 400 million, which is absolutely crazy to me. I don't know what type of well manipulation's happening here, but something. But they are up 12.2% for the day. And then you got this Bitcoin, which was, has been up in green for the past week and a half as well. It's up 101%. And then in the top 200, it's a little higher on the pullbacks, more like 8 I'd say about 7 to 10% on pullback on average here. So yeah, some stuff that sticks out though. You got XPL down about 13%, and then NISA down about 12% here. And then everything else is pretty much flowing into that range that I'll just talk to you about. Probably more like 6 to 10% is what it is on average in the top 200. So that is Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the alts for you guys. But guess what? We will have green days again. So it's okay. Everything's going to be okay.
Hope so. I really hope so. I'm just kidding. Let's kind of get into the next thing here. We'll jump right into news from the trenches. Let's kind of see what is happening over here. So first thing I want to get into before we kind of get into what's happening is a brand new launchpad on a Bitcoin L1 right now. And I think it's something that we have to talk about here. So Satsman is satsman.fun. We obviously are partnered with them. But this is just really awesome in the sense of what these guys are bringing to the table here. There's a new token right now. It's called 7Z. And I was thinking about how you can meme this, the sleeping giant, right? Z's, like sleeping. You know what I mean?
What's the reason why this is a 7Zs?
Yeah, so this was the first 7 ticker. So how KC likes to do things. So at a certain block height, it doesn't just be like, okay, you can use 7-digit tickers. No. It's at this block height, you can do all Z's, and then the next block, you can do all the Z's and the Y, and the next block, you can do all the Z's and an X, all the way down until you can do all A's, right? So what that does is that opens up different things. So all the way until the next block, the unlock, which is 6 digits, you got to wait like a certain amount of time. And that's why when you're etching, it's important to know when you're able to unlock these. So you can actually bid on your favorite 7, even though it's not ready yet. So right now you can't get Taproot until it kind of circles through that entire ZZZ thing, but you can actually bid on it. And then when it does happen, you can go to sleep or whatever and wake up one day you have it. But someone else can come in and say, I want Taproot, and they can put a higher bid in. When I say bid, I mean sats per VByte. So you're just bidding against the blocks. And what will happen is you get a refund. Like if let's say Yagobi puts in 5 sats per VByte, I put 7. I'll actually end up paying 7. Yagobi will get the full refund of the 5 that he paid. So he doesn't take any loss whatsoever. And then Satsman goes and they get me my token when I can do it. So that's why you have to pay attention as well. The ones that you can get right away, you can get right away. That are ones that are already unlocked, and you can figure it out all here. Like if you come in here and put in like the test token, let's say I want to test, and I check availability, it pops up this thing here, which a test will unlock at height 984, but bidding will open on 98459. So all you have to do is kind of be here for the bidding, and you'll be good to go.
Bam! They got the date and the time estimation there too. So I love that.
I think something's wrong though, because this is the same unlock as the day. So it's supposed to be 30 days
of the unlock
of next year, right? So maybe there's a little bit of this is something brand new. They just added yesterday, so we'll see. But it does look like you can start bidding on 12/13. Or 30 days prior to that. We'll see as the time goes in there. But right now, if you guys wanted to go to launch, you go to all launches. So these are the Genesis tokens. You have ZZZZ, which is the first one, which is the first ever 7-digit ticker. And then you have Landwolf, which is another one of theirs. And this is from the Omnity team. Think about when Bob first launched his tokens. He launched like 7 tokens over on Odin. They were called the Bob tokens, right? They moons, all the moons, and then eventually you had newer ones come in and it kind of took the crown away from the Bob tokens. But here you're going to have the Omnity tokens, and what's going to happen is once these graduate, and it actually has the dates when they will graduate, they will take all the liquidity from these and put them on Rich Swap. Rich Swap is amazing in the sense of swapping because you don't got to wait. So let's just say I buy a token, I can sell it in the same block. I can buy it, sell it, buy it, sell it, buy it, sell it in the same block. And it gets rolled up very similar to what Arch is saying. Their Arch is promising, but Rich Swap already has that tech already kind of built in already.
Yeah, I mean, and the team behind this, man, they're extremely passionate about trying to scale Bitcoin layer 1 assets, and they're leveraging the ICP tech stack to do so, right? So I'm excited for it because I personally think that there's going to be a resurgence for runes, but who knows when that's going to happen in terms of like a mainstream resurgence, because and I think one of the driving forces is dog, right? But also one of the driving forces that isn't talked about much is also something like Odin, that created this like fun, fast environment where you could trade like Odin runes. And what this does is I feel like combines that, right? So it's a fast environment as well. But more than anything, like this team really wants to make trading native Bitcoin layer 1 assets possible and fun, right? So, getting involved into the 3 Genesis tokens, obviously any of this type of environment, there's risk to it. You guys know that. But like you mentioned with the whole Bob token situation that took off, right? So the metas within, I think, are important, right? And so this is live now, right? And so, I'm curious in your opinion, right? Because I think that there's a lot of support with the Bitcoin layer 1 runes with Kraken, which has a lot of money. I mean, they just lent out what $200 million to a entity, right? So they have a lot of marketing money. And I think when the time is right, whenever the market is liquid, you're going to want to find a place where you can launch your own rune, number one, also where you can degen a bit. And this, in my opinion, is going to be like the best place to do that, because they built this to be able to kind of roll these transactions up to make it a fast environment. It is based around runes, and they're leveraging the ICP tech stack to be able to make that happen. And by the way, ICP also has their own Bitcoin node, right? So they're constantly scanning Bitcoin, and that's why it works. You know what I mean? So I'm excited about it. Like I said, it's live right now, so you guys can go check it out. But also, there's going to be a Spaces on Thursday as well. So make sure you're following them on X so you can get information. And any questions that you have, just ask them in that Spaces. But yeah, this is going to be exciting. I think, the time to degen is starting to, heat up a little bit, but obviously it's getting used to the UIs of the tools that you're going to, try to use to be successful.
Yeah, 100%. I love this too, because like you can't trade the bonding curve. So what happens is like all the money that is kind of pushed in here, it's actually, so you just wait a certain amount of time, right? So it doesn't matter how much liquidity is gains, that'll be the market cap. So as of right now, you're seeing 51% of it already kind of get bought up. 49% of that will actually go into the LP, right? So if every token is going to be different in that sense, but as of right now, 51% of the supply has already kind of been bought. But you want to see like 70%, because that means the market cap is going to be higher, because they're able to put more Bitcoin with that token, what's left in the LP, pop that in rich swap, and then boom, that day you're trading this. This becomes the second, third
in an AMM environment, right?
Yes, 100%.
Okay, so basically you're bringing 2023 back, and you're giving that free and fair type of minting process and putting it instantly in an AMM rather than have to list your tokens like NFT style. So you don't have to do that. So basically it's this whole process and this product is focused around bringing the free and fair mint back. So I'm excited to do that, because like at the end of the day, like these mints can be really cheap whenever you mint, just like in 2023. Obviously it's based on, and I love that that's kind of how the mempool on Bitcoin layer 1 works, is that like it's like an auction style, like how much fees are you willing to pay for your mint, because that's all the costs that you're doing anyways, is the fee for the mint, right, for the using the chain. And so you get to bring that back, so you're kind of like, okay, like I think I'm good here, and then it mints out, then instantly you can swap and do whatever you need to do. So that market cap, like you said, could be pretty substantial in the jump once they get it ready. But then that's when the real trading starts. So some skill sets come in to where you're like, okay, like, and for me recently, I'm going to test out like my new strategies on this platform. Right. So I'm hoping I can get with the team and we can get some, buy and sell limit order tools too.
100%. So it's easy to kind of figure out what the market cap is too, because right now 0.5 Bitcoin is about what, $40,000, $44,000. So you have to double it. So whatever is raised, you double that, and that's your market cap. So right now this is already kind of sitting at a potential $80,000 market cap.
What's the percentage mint out right now?
51%.
Okay, so then the mint out is going to be like more like $150,000 to $160,000 market cap probably once it gets.
No, well, it's not going to matter. It just depends on how much money is raised, because you're taking that money and then you're taking the rest of the LP.
Wouldn't it be
Doesn't matter how
double
much
though
is in there.
of where it
Yeah,
is now?
you're doubling it. So you're right now
Yeah.
we're at 40, like I said, we're at half Bitcoin, so 40,000. So you're gonna be 80,000, 84,000.
I know, but when it mints out though, because you said it's 50%
It can't
minted.
mint out. It can't mint out. So it won't be. I don't think it'll be possible, because they need percentage with the LP. So I think
get
the
what you're
hard cap
saying.
is already in. I don't think you can kind of get past this. So right
So
now,
it's-
as you're putting
it's
money
almost
in,
ready now,
you're
then.
getting, everyone else is getting less and less tokens. So it stays at 51%. It's just the amount of tokens from this guy to this guy. You know what I'm talking about? So you're buying less and less of the supply as you get in now. So I think it'll stay always 51.49. Let me see. Yeah, it always stays 51.49.
Gotcha.
So, but the amount, obviously, the more that's raised, the higher the market cap. So, but yeah, man. All right, let's try to jump into some other stuff that is happening.
Well,
Real
the
quick,
other
though,
part of the trenches.
yeah, let's kind of get into
Okay.
the other trenches. Yeah, let's do it. What do you got for us?
Yeah, so the trenches for the new viewers right now is stuff like we just talked about with Satsman, right? You're talking about meme launchpad type of environment, but also, it goes across the entire cryptoverse, right? And so you got Solana, which has been kind of leading the way in terms of the overall crypto space. And you have some newer ecosystems that popped up recently, but I'm going to focus more on Solana on this part, because I feel like Solana is starting to heat up a bit. And the USD1 pairs last week were really heating up. And it led into the Breakpoint, Solana Breakpoint convention over in, I think they were in Abu Dhabi, or maybe Dubai, one of the two. I think it was Abu Dhabi, but somewhere in one of those Middle Eastern really rich countries. And I felt like towards the end of it, like the USD1 pairs are starting to slow down a little bit. I'm not seeing them kind of bond as much, but you do have some that have stuck around that I feel like are starting to kind of be, show some strength, right? So you and I talked about the MAGA token. I first brought it up last week. I'm it's a token that launched, if you want to kind of look at the date, 4 days ago. So I think that's probably like around Thursday midday is when it launched, and it got to about 3 million. So you have to remember, like, why is MAGA, the MAGA token even like talked about right now? It's because it's the first MAGA token that's paired with USD1, that's related to Will-Fi, that's related to current, Trump and that whole situation. And it seems like that's the theme that's been pushed on the bonk.fun website, right? So you're seeing tokens like the American Dream. There's another token, USA. So even though some of these names of these tokens have launched previously, whether on Pump Fun or like just on Solana with the individual contract or something, they're getting like a second chance of like running, because a lot of those tokens market caps are really low from the previous, but because of the USD1, that's what gives it the potential to actually run hard and be like the official non-official token of these kind of names and communities that are being built, right? So that's something that I've been paying attention to, right? And then just overall, if you look over in the Solana ecosystem, there's a token right now called Santa. It is sitting at 1 million, right? And this is a token that I think it's at the top there. And so this is a token, if you go to the daily chart there, go to the daily and squeeze it in. Yeah, you can squeeze it into where it was launched. Yeah, there you go. And you can see it launched back in 2024, like all the way to the left of your screen there, right? And it got to about, I think like 9 million back then. And it just completely crashed because it's a seasonal Santa, right? And then it picked back up around Halloween time, right? And it got back to like 2-3 million. Then it kind of pulled back. And then it's been just pulling back ever since it peaked there October 26th or 27th until 2 days ago. So, these are certain tokens that you kind of think about, like, okay, are they trying to push a rally here to end the year because it's Christmas themed? And if you look at the daily candles, you can see there's 2 green daily candles in a row. It's sitting at 1.1 million. When I first saw this kind of reignite on the 14th, which was early yesterday, it was sitting at like $400,000-$500,000 market cap. Now, this is an individual token that has its own contract. It's not a part of a launchpad or anything like that. So you also have to be careful too, like, you know, because they have their own liquid. Well, it is show locked liquidity. So maybe they locked it as whoever launched this, or maybe they were on the old pump launch pad. I'm not sure, but you can't tell by the address. But what you can see is that there was a pick back up, right? It's hard to determine, right? Like, is this going to be a runner? But you can see some momentum coming in. So you got to be careful on these. You know, me personally, I would probably have played, if I would have got into this like yesterday early, that would have been my entry around 500K, and then would have had my scale out a little bit and maybe left a moon bag, right? Because you never know how this is going to play out. And that goes for the entire trenches segment, guys. That's just, you guys know that, right? And how they're basically very high risk at this moment, right? And, you know, I do want to say this part because I feel like this is something that I've done personally is really find some tokens that I believe in, that are going to be around. They have teams, or they just really strong meme token, and just really learned what the sweet spots are of trading them, but like trading them in a way that makes sense, not just like, you know, going off of emotions or anything like that. It's completely different than the trenches approach, because you're taking a disciplined, okay, I don't have to look at my screen. You're setting buy and sell limit orders. It's been working for me. And I feel like that is something that, you know, if someone's struggling with the trenches, maybe you need to take a step back and say, hey, I need to strategize, you know, because there isn't a ton of opportunity right now in the space, unless you're buying spot and in size and holding for 2026, right? That's a totally different story, because you are getting stuff on discount right now. So
Yeah, 100%. So there is opportunities in the market. There's always a bull market somewhere. Where is it? But one thing I found really promising is like the volume on the trenches has been good, like really good, in the sense of what we've kind of dealt with in October and November when it wasn't good. It was actually really bad. I think it was the worst of the year was probably in April, and then again in October, November. But now we're kind of seeing a resurgence, at least in the volume. Whether this is just bots or people turning their bots back on or whatever, we do know that 10.6 really eliminated a lot of bots. It broke a lot of bots in that struggle, not just like in the majors, but in the meme coin markets as well. And you're actually maybe seeing those bots come back online. I'm not sure, but you are seeing a lot of volume when it comes to tokens like Santa and MAGA, where you are seeing these trades constant. And it is nice change of pace, especially where we've been. But is this maybe a setup to more liquidity coming next year?
I think I think it started off that way, to where some people started to DCA into some tokens that had large market caps and had some brandability with it before, right? And people recognized it. You know, Mudang, something that got liquidity injected back in. I don't know what the market cap is now. I think we first saw that with Jelly Jelly. Do you remember that about like a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, to where someone just injected like a ton of liquidity into it, and to where it jumped from maybe an $8 million market cap to like over 100. And then you saw that again with Mudang. But you're absolutely right. I mean, you're looking at the Solana Dex screener top volume of the 6 hour kind of time span, and you can look there. I mean, click on volume. And this is, you know, basically the past, I think, 6 hours, right? And if you want to click on 24, it'll give you the 24-hour volume, top left or medium left, up, right, right. Okay, no, you're good. You're good. That was my bad. I think that was right. It was just showing. I'm getting thrown off by that other 6 hour thing, but yeah, go back there. Okay, so you're good. So you're looking at the top 24 hours volume, right? Trump. That's not too much of a surprise. Like, everybody's a super fat whale that's in that has any sort of significant size. Okay, Pippin though. I mean, 20 million in the last 24 hours, huge. Jelly, 19 million, right? Then you go to Slurf, 4 million. So there's a pretty big jump off after that. But like, you accumulate all of those volumes, and that's quite a bit, right? And so you can see, you know, there's multiple million, stuff like that. So the volume is definitely picking back up over there. And it seems to be the current spot right now that has concentrated volume to even or concentrated liquidity to even have like the volume that can show that much volume. And BSC is one that kind of is, I would say, is about 30% of that right now. But what we want to see is not only Solana having that type of volume, we want to see about, Solana could be the leader of volume, that's fine, but you've got to start to see other chains and ecosystems start to have some respectable volume, right? And we're not seeing that just yet. But like you mentioned, let's go back to, we can even go back to the Halloween time period where there was one-offs here and there and a little bit of energy, but that the volume consistency wasn't necessarily there. We're starting to see that with Solana. It has to start there probably, right? So I think that that's where maybe this can kind of stair step and ladder, and then we get into a more liquid economy and risk on starts to come back. And then we start to see some other environments say, whoa, some of those market caps are popping off over there. That's what's happening, and it will start here to where, and I think that's why people are DCAing too, because they know it's going to start at Solana. I mean, let's just be honest. That's what the analytics are telling us, right? So it's going to start here to where you see something pop off. And then when you start to see it trickle to and I would say not even BSC, because BSC will have liquidity increase when that happens, but look for another one that's not those two, so maybe like SUI pops off, or like, the Bitcoin ecosystem starts to pop off, or, maybe Monad has a resurgence or something like that. Then you start to say, okay, I'm starting to get more context clues here that we're getting more liquid here.
Well, this is something that I've been seeing. You're seeing a lot of these other meme coin places like, Monad, Base, Spark, even Binance Smart Chain. They're all kind of bleeding down, and a lot of that liquidity is coming to Solana because of stuff like Franklin last week that ran from 0 to 16, 18, 19 million, wherever it landed, right? And then you're seeing stuff like Maga, like you mentioned, and Santa and stuff like that. I feel like if you take a look at stuff like Monad real quickly, and you're kind of
man, they're beat up.
It's just destroyed. It's complete chaos. And same thing. This is something we covered in depth on its launch. Same thing over here with Spark, right? You're seeing the top token 438,000. ASTI sitting at 216. Everything is just so beaten down, and a lot of this liquidity is leaving these ecosystems and going to Solana. And I think that continues. I think this is just the beginning of these bleed outs, because these ecosystems are not doing what Solana is doing, and that's creating runners, whether that's from the people that are controlling Solana or the people that control launchpads or whatever. That there is volume coming from these places that you're not seeing happen in these places.
Yeah, I mean, so I think that you're partially right with that, but so definitely liquidity has left to go kind of back to Solana. But it like when I said that you have to start there, I think you have to start there because it has the infrastructure in terms of like market makers that are trading these meme coins, volume pumpers that are pumping volume for these meme coins. They have the full-blown casino, right? While other areas are trying to build their casino, right? And so if the market's going to be more liquid and we do get that, then you're going to see, I think you're going to see big success with some of these tokens that were kind of dying before in Solana, but they're getting re-injected kind of right now, right? And then you'll start to see some, probably you'll see a couple new pairs eventually like kick off, right? Like strong. We're not there yet. New pairs is still that really dark trading game that like people are doing on the daily. If you get that $2 million market cap, then that's a huge win for a daily runner. But it's pulling back guaranteed like 85%, right? When you start to see like the new pair get to like 2 million, pulling back to like 1, and then pulling back forward again to 5, all within like 24 to 36 hours, then you're just like, okay, we're more liquid now. Something's happening. But I do feel like they're preparing for that. They're kind of, like I said, so I don't necessarily fault a lot of these platforms because, it has to start there. Like Solana is the king of memes at the moment. That's just a fact, right? So Solana has to have that resurgence, and that's going to be like the first ding. Okay, now how big of a run is this going to be? Okay, now other ecosystems are going to start watching and saying, okay, this is like, we want it to trickle to us. We want it to trickle to they want it to trickle to them. All these things, right? Because if you look at Monad, for example, like you just showed, like a token like Moncock was just at like, I want to say like 1.8 2 million and sitting at 120,000, right? And so that is proof kind of that, you know, everything is like concentrated right now on these Solana meme coins in terms of meme coins in general.
I think you're missing the one part though, is like when Solana was really pumping, being like Binance Smart Chain and stuff like that really struggled. Like all these other places really struggled because it's not new liquidity into these markets. It's old liquidity just kind of coming back home, right? So you saw BNB kind of get a surge once Solana really started to die out, and I do think that you're not going to see these ecosystems move at all until Solana has peaked. And then you're going to see a lot of money chasing these new places. But by that point, you're already on your downtrend anyway, because the boss is kind of bleeding, right? With the boss is the final boss is Solana when it comes to meme coins. So I disagree. I don't think there's going to be a resurgence at all until it's already kind of over. You know, and you're going to see pump and dumps, right? All over this ecosystem and all over this one. And, you know, BNB as well, just like we seen last time. Same thing happened. BNB, Solana died. BNB was just pump and dump for 7 days. And then
but I think you're thinking of the current conditions, right? You're thinking of like the conditions of October, which whenever the liquidity left Solana and went to BNB. And that's the old conditions, which we're still in right now. So I say old because I feel like we're going into a transition right now. If we go into a transition where there's a true liquidity environment transition, then this is kind of sustained, right? For that's the idea, right? Like the idea is like sustaining some degeneracy, like in terms of market caps and stuff. And so to be in a risk on environment, like let's say that Solana starts to have like some of these runners really hit, right? You're starting to see like good runners that are new pairs within a week getting to 20, 30 million, and then have the potential to go further than that. Medium runners getting to like 8 to 10, and crappy runners getting to like 2 to 5, like consistently. Right. And then the good ones have they're consistently going up. Right. And then they start to get to like the 100 and stuff. That is a very liquid environment. And I think that once some people get burnt out a little bit over there, that's where I think some of the other ecosystems can say, okay, because there's going to be new opportunities with new coins. Right. So it brings me back into like the 2021 kind of, what was it called? You know, whenever you push over to the next ecosystem or whatever, right? Whenever you're cycling over to, you left Ethereum, now you're going to Phantom, right? Ethereum had Wonderland and it had, was it Olympus DAO? Yeah. And all those, and then it rotating is what I was looking for.
Yeah,
so
but the problem
rotated to Phantom, and then that rotated to Avalanche, and that rotated to eventually. So I don't think it's going to necessarily be exactly like that, but if you have a high enough,
like that at all.
If you have a high enough liquidity environment, it could do something similar to that.
You're missing the point. That's DeFi. This is meme coin launchpads. It's completely different. You can't really. It's the reason people were leaving for a base and stuff like that, because you were seeing bigger yields in different places for the same type of environment, right? You're not going to see that this time. I think it's going to begin and end with Solana. Solana is going to be the meme threshold. You will see a couple of these ecosystems run, but they're going to be like these investor types and stuff, and they're just going to it's not going to be the volume that you're going to want. There's going to be no reason to leave once you're seeing like you explained, you know, seeing these medium runners go to 5 million, and then you're going to totally switch up and go somewhere where you're barely seeing 800K. Like you're just not going to leave, and because there's no the reason we drove to other places.
What would make you leave?
APY.
What would make you leave?
If I'm making money on Solana? If I'm making money on Solana, I'm not leaving. Why would I leave until you know what I mean? Like there's no reason, there's no APY reason, there's no reason to go anywhere else because the volume's there. It's all about volume when it comes to meme coins.
There can only be so many like $100 million coins is on Solana. So they'll hit like a cap to where there's like let's say there's like 10 that run to 100 million within like a high liquid environment, right? And then you get the first one that's like heading towards 100 on, let's say, like, I'm just using an example, right? Let's say like on Spark or on Monad or something, right? Then in your mind, you're like, okay, they're heating up over there. They're heating up. They're intentionally trying to push. You have to understand too, there's powers to be that will push tokens intentionally to get the attention of users, right? So if we're in a high liquid environment, people like chains will use capital to get users. They will do that, right? So that's what I'm talking about. I do agree that like the attraction was kind of these crazy Ponzi like APYs that were like thousands of %, but there was strong memes on every chain too, though.
Really, there wasn't really any on Phantom or anything like that. I didn't chase any
Really?
memes
I
at
mean,
that point. Yeah.
I feel like Tomb kind of it was
Well,
DeFi, but
there
it
was an
was
APY
Ponzi as
chase.
hell.
But again, you're chasing an API. I'm not lying, it wasn't Ponzi, but I'm just saying you were chasing an APY. That's the only reason why to leave. Why would you leave the major casino that's paying out the most to go to some of the places? And maybe you're right. Maybe it does take a cabal to come in and pump a token up and stuff like that. But
There will
cabal's
be
gonna dump on
if
you.
if the
Cabal's gonna
environment's
dump on you.
liquid enough.
Yeah,
There will be that
people are gonna come
like,
in these to kind of, they're going to come into these systems to kind of invest, and they're going to get destroyed because it'll be the ending of that cycle. Once that happens, it'll be after Solana has already done multiple hundred millions, and they're just coming to collect the liquidity, trying to get people to come over. So I think these other chains need to come up with different strategies, because I don't think the meme coin launchpad strategy is going to work anywhere else besides Solana. I mean, it could work on Bitcoin, because we know that Bitcoin's different in the sense of the mindset of those people are investors, they're not traders. And you can invest in Bitcoin memes. You really can't invest in Solana memes. You kind of always have to move on to the next one.
Well, I think the Bitcoin side of thing is you're going to get people that hold, right? So
That's
hold.
kind of,
but being in a very highly liquid environment changes everything, though. It changes everything. You have to understand, like, that changes everything. You know what I mean? It changes everything in terms of risk on and mindset and all these things. Like we haven't seen that in forever.
Well, here's the thing: the trust is gone, right? The people don't trust Monad anymore. If they really wanted,
how do you get trust back, though? Show winners. Give people people make money.
I just can't see them doing that. I just can't see them dumping.
That's how they've done it
into
the 4-year cycles over and over again. It
seems like these are different, though. These new chains like Spark with David Marcus, he's not that guy. With Monad, with these guys, it doesn't. I'm just saying, like, I just can't see this.
Do you know?
This happening because of the fact that these guys don't understand the meme coin game like the launch pads on Solana.
Yeah, but I think also a big part of what pushed a lot of those coins up in 2021, whether it's DeFi or memes or whatever, was the VCs, right? So VCs also, when it's highly liquid and
it's rare
type of environments,
get meme coins.
What?
Because they have shareholders and stuff. It's hard for them. They can get in stuff like Doge and stuff like that, but you're not going to see these VCs getting in meme coins. You're not going to see it.
Well, I'm talking about the VCs that have invested in chains too, though. Because they want users, they want their coin to go up, they want to make money in different ways. I just think that like we're so like conditioned at this point to not have a very liquid environment, and like we didn't realize it until like too late almost. It was this year. I
remember Aptos and stuff. They're not worried about meme coin launchpads. They're building for
but I'm not talking about Aptos
RWA. I'm just saying, but like Monad's going to have to find its niche, and it's not like every chain needs to find its niche. And Aptos and stuff, they're going after RWA. Tron's going after stable coins. Solana is going to win the meme coin game. I just feel like if you're trying to put meme coins on another chain, it's not going to work. Just like if you're trying to do this insane DeFi aspect somewhere else, it's not going to work. I feel like they've already kind of found their home, and I think Monad can be successful. Spark can be successful, but it's not going to be in the meme coin launchpad game. They're going to be successful. These VCs are going to come in and they're going to build new aspects.
The main aspect of what they want to be known for is not going to be that. That's not what I'm talking about, though. I'm just talking about like an opportunity for kind of like this meme season to happen. Like, you know what I mean? Is that we have to be in full on risk on. We have to be in a very highly liquid environment where people are willing to be risk on, and it's not going to last forever. You know what I mean? It'll last for probably like 2 months, something like that. But 2 months is a long time where you can rotate to a couple different ecosystems. I'm not saying that's going to be guaranteed. That's what's going to happen, but I could see it happening. But of course, I don't think like Spark is going to be known for meme coins. Right. And I don't think, Monad might be partially because they're kind of like a playful
No,
like,
they're not.
NFT and oh, they're very, very like NFT driven and high risk on stuff too.
They're not helping themselves at all. Like their meme
I'm
coin
not saying
NFTs,
they
they're
are.
all going to zero at this
I'm
point.
not saying they
Like,
are. I'm just
so
telling you what their marketing is. And
they're trying
the
to
way
find their
they've
niche.
branded themselves.
They're trying to find their niche right now, and I don't think it's going to be in meme coins or NFTs.
Well,
Like,
you might be right, but what I'm telling you is that their marketing wise that's what they were reflecting.
Their tokens dying.
Bro, like you don't get what I'm like. I'm not saying it's working. I'm saying that's black and white facts.
I don't know.
No, I said that they I said they have marketed and branded themselves as a kind of playful NFT meme coin kind of marketing. Look at them. I mean, they have all these weird like cartoonish images and stuff like that, like Chog. That whole thing is about.
I think their marketing
it looks very degenerate. Again,
it is not
let's
something
move on.
they should have.
I'm not saying that they did a good job with it.
Well, I don't understand that. What's the point? Like, I'm not defending my Solana bias. I'm just saying Solana is going to be Ethereum's going to be the DeFi hub. Solana is going to be the meme coin launchpad hub. You're going to see RWA pop up. You're going to see all this stuff pop up. And I feel like these chains, Spark, Monad, they all have done a terrible job with their ecosystems when it comes to launching these meme coins, and they failed. And it's over. I think you're not going to be able to make the money you're going to make on Solana when you're going after meme coins. I think it's actually a mistake to kind of go after some of these meme coins right now, thinking they're going to go up, because most of them are going to go to zero. You will see new ones come up, but most of them will get dumped to zero as well.
Yeah, I mean, so in that aspect, like every chain, every environment definitely should, in my opinion, specialize in something that's going to be real world, right? And I think people like David Marcus understand that. That's why he's so focused on LightSpark himself.
Yeah, it's going to be a payment. It's going to be a payment.
But
that's fine.
But also, that doesn't mean that they're, because I mean, if you go back to 2021, these people that were doing all these like Ponzi schemes and stuff, like they weren't going to be known for that, forever. You know what I mean? Well, they realized that was a complete, they were the ones that created the chain. So they understood that, and a lot of them have financial backgrounds, that these APRs and APYs weren't sustainable at all, right? But what it did was it drew in so many users at the time because we were in a very high liquid environment. You know what I mean? And so the people bought into that fake dream, and some people made money if they exited early enough, made a lot of money. But that's been a lot of the industry. But then you get to a point to where AVAX, I felt like after that was like, okay, let's hone in on stuff here. Let's create documents type NFTs and be that type of chain.
This cycle has been different though, and I don't think it changes. I don't think it changes in that sense. So even when liquidity comes back, there's just so many more chains now. There's so many more protocols and builders, and I just feel like this time you're going to see a very niched market, to where you're going to see RWAs pop. You're going to see all the RWA chains pop. When you see DeFi pop, you're going to see Ethereum and a lot of these DeFi chains pop. And then when you see the meme coin chains, it's going to pop. It's mainly going to be on Solana, because that's just where everyone's going to go play. You will see a couple runners here and there, but they're not going to be sustainable because they're not on the right area, not on the right chain for those people. Right?
I think where else it works is Bitcoin, because of the fact that it's such a high friction layer one, that if you do have a legit community with runes like Dog, you're actually building something that people believe in, which is different than something Monad that is launching, so many coins a day. And, Solana gets away with it right now because all the liquidity is concentrated. And they have the casino there, right? And so, eventually what's going to come down to it is it's like the overproduction of paper cards in the 90s, all those crappy Upper Deck, Fleer, and all those cards that were just paper cards for sports cards throughout the late 80s and early 90s. They're pretty much worthless unless you have a rookie card that's graded 10. And then in the 2000s, what they started focusing on was building, creating quality, actual cards, that were thick. You put a patch of a jersey in there and you sign it. That's a big difference, right? So we are kind of getting through the paper card era with Solana launching thousands of meme coins every single day. but it's kind of towards the end of it. But like, you know, doesn't mean that there's not going to be, you know, opportunity for, you know, a high liquid environment for people to make money. I don't know what it's going to look like. I didn't expect for this year to be the way it did. So,
Yeah.
you know, I can have a vision of the way I see things rolling out in 2026 and 2027, and it can be completely different, just like how it was this year. I might be right. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see. Only time will tell. And the final thing here I got is Base co-founder Jesse Pollak. I don't know what the hell this man was thinking, but he promoted a Soulja Boy meme coin, and sparking the entire ecosystem was just pissed off at him for doing it. It's like, how do you not know what you're doing here? So this is I found this on Woo blockchain. Base co-founder Jesse Pollak promoted backed a meme coin token issued by Soulja Boy, sparking community criticism. Zach XBT questioned why Soulja Boy was being given a platform, citing in April 2023, research shows that 73 promotions, 16 NFT launches, many of them were scams. So even Zach XBT is coming out like, dude, like, why are you promoting this guy? And Jesse Pollak is just trying to create the creator coin aspect of it, saying, hey, anyone should have a creator coin. It doesn't matter who you are or how many people you've rugged. But Zach XBT is like, don't promote these guys. How do you feel about this?
I think he has a point. Like, the approach that I feel like Jesse Pollak has taken in his role has been, it's been not great in my opinion for that kind of stuff, right? Because I mean, he's pretty much the lead for base chain, right?
Yeah.
And for you to promote, I get like they're trying so hard. Everybody is, by the way.
Yeah.
Like Elon from Pump Fund tried extremely hard to get creator. You know, we love streaming on the streams because there's people that watch. But in terms of getting a creator coin going in that economy, it hasn't worked. And now like Base is trying so hard. It's like when you try so hard at something, like literally I was at the the driving range yesterday, and I was so pissed because I couldn't chip in the direction I went. An hour and a half, bro. Like I was sitting there like getting the balls in my back was starting hurting. Finally, like I just kind of stopped like focusing so much on like trying to be perfect, and then like after about an hour and 10 minutes, like I got it, like, and I just was like getting it over and over. And it's almost kind of like when you try so hard at like success for something, sometimes it's what's limiting you. It's what's stopping you from having success. It's like Sarah Marshall when he's like, hey, you know, like whenever you're surfing, like just do nothing, like don't even do anything. He's like, just you'll get it. And you know, you don't think too hard, don't try too hard, do nothing. And then he's just laying on the board and he's like, all right, well, you got to do something. You got to start. and so, but I think it's a very true statement though. Like the people that are so hard focused on having success with something, sometimes that's what's keeping you from success. And I feel like that's what creator markets have done to the people that have tried it.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I think, but we'll see what happens. But you know, the creator market might be somewhere else. Like this meme coin.
Someone's gonna figure it out, but they're gonna figure it out like unintentionally, or they're gonna have the right mindset with it. You know, so
yeah, I think it's Base. I think Base is going to be the creator market for sure. But who really knows? Got some comments here. I was here last year and remembered hearing next year Trump will make us run. Reality is hitting in. I want my IDO money to cash out. What? Mo IC. I don't know. Mo ICP says Shizzy's defending his but utility of blockchains is similar to very limited. Yeah. He says, any idea what's going to happen to forecasters since they're
know about that?
Yeah. So it's simple. Think of Farcaster now as a wallet with a social network connected to it. That's all it is. They're just focusing more on the wallet and less on social network.
They lost a lot of builders though that were upset about them. Maybe not a lot. I know like a couple prominent ones.
Yeah, but like nothing was really being built, right? So it was just like you weren't really seeing any progress anyway. Santa Rally on Soul, Big Heart says, yeah, I mean, it's kind of looking that way. Mr. Unfiltered says, we all begged for Wall Street to come in. We need validation, and now they destroyed us. I'm not arguing with you.
Are you feeling that, though? That comment?
Yeah, that hurt my insides.
Like, I hate to say if that's
got my feels going on, bro. And then Blazing Bandit, my guy Ryan says, yo, is Bearable Guy 123 Elon's brother? Interesting as
guy.
possible. I don't know. And he said, just hodl, incoming. We're just about to pass the lays. I hope you're right. I really do. And then yeah, it's a bad day. Yeah, it's not you're just not having a good time.
But we're still here. We're surviving.
we're here for sure. But that's our show for you guys today, man. Really appreciate every single comment, every single one of you guys, man. We'll be here all week, no matter what. And that's one you can count on. You can't count on Bitcoin to go up. You can't count on anything to really happen. We count on us being here each and every day. We appreciate you guys.
Absolutely, guys. Without you guys, we couldn't do the show. And we remind you guys every day because, it's important for us to do that because you guys are the main reason why we do the show, right? And so we thank you for that. And then also without our partners, though, we couldn't do it as well as they help us, by sponsoring the show. So if you could check them out, we would greatly appreciate that. Emblem Vault is the interoperability layer of the Bitcoin ecosystem. If you are looking to jump your Bitcoin ordinals or NFTs like Rare Pepe's, Nakamoto cards, or ordinals like Taproot Wizards, I don't know. Udi's saying that he's going to burn all the ordinals, but maybe not his Taproot Wizards. But you can take those over to the Gandhi application on Ethereum and take a loan out against them, right? So they are accepting loans against your Taproot Wizard over there if they have a buyer on the other side. But that's not all. They're going to be opening this up to other chains and environments, and Solana is one of those. I believe Hedera Hashgraph is as well. And speaking of both those places, they have the best AI product in those environments in agenthustle.ai. If you ask Agent Hustle, find me some low cap gems in Solana or Hedera or BSC, he's going to bring back some options for you and give you reasons why that these are solid options. Also, we can do conditional trades on your behalf. So you can set buy and sell limit orders through Agent Hustle, and he'll take care of those while you're taking care of your life. While you're taking care, dude, I'm gonna tell you something like that is gonna make your life like so much better, so you don't have to stare at the chart. So utilize the conditional trading engines. I promise they are worth it. And then there is a free subscription level for you guys to test it out. It is limited with prompts, so you can at least get a little taste and see if you like it. But if you want the advantages of having more tools and more prompts, you got to do the paid subscriptions there, and you can get a 30% discount if you use the Hustle token. And the Hustle token is the single token for the Emblem ecosystem that powers the entire ecosystem. But there's more. There is another product within their ecosystem called Migrate.fun. And Migrate.fun helps you migrate, exactly like the name of the product, from one launchpad in Solana to another. So if you launch the token and you have a community over on Solana, you can migrate from pump.fun to bonk.fun, or from bonk.fun to pump.fun, or to your own liquidity pool. So you can manage those and earn as much as you possibly can with your LP fees, right? They're currently in their third cohort, which is pretty much a pump fund cohort, as you can see right there on the screen. And you can check it out if you're on the, on the line, toting the line. If you decide this is right for your community, check out this current cohort and then reach out to the team through migrate.fun or emblem.vision to ask any questions that you have. Make sure you check out our Friday segment every Friday with Hanging with Hustle with the team. We always have one of the team members on. It's a very fun time, but we appreciate you guys for checking them out. Go to the websites and learn more about them. And then Merlin Chain is uniting Bitcoin's strength to the power of their AI. I can't talk this morning. With their Wizard version 2.0 that guides you through the Merlin Chain ecosystem. But it can also guide you outside of the ecosystem and can swap for tokens outside. If all you got to do is have some Merlin Chain Bitcoin, you can swap for some hot Solana tokens or BSC tokens as well. But going back to the ecosystem, it can swap for you through Merlin Swap or stake on your behalf as well. And speaking of staking, they have a proof of stake security model, and there's 3 ways for you guys to participate. The first way is staking Bitcoin to earn more Bitcoin. I said that right. Staking Bitcoin to earn more Bitcoin, which is an amazing product. The first staking vault that they had ended September 30th, and they got 17% APR for their stakers there. The second one is ending in less than a month. It ends January 8th, but these staking vaults go for 3 months, right? So you can actually jump in right now and earn for the remaining amount of days, or you can wait for the next one to pop open after this one closes. But they're going to be shooting for around the same APR. The minimum is 8%, maximum 21%. And again, you get paid in Bitcoin. So awesome product there. And then there's 2 staking vaults on the Merlin chain side, or the Merlin token side, I should say. The first one is the day-to-day flexible staking option, which you earn 15% APR. You can claim your rewards every single day and do whatever you want with those. You can roll them up into a compound interest strategy. You can sell them, keep them in your wallet, whatever you want. You can claim those every single day. Just know if you do withdraw your Merlin chain tokens, there is a 7-day cooldown period. So just know that ahead of time. And then the last option is the bonded option, which is a 6-month lockup for the Merlin chain token, but you earn 45% APR. Cool thing about this one, though, is you can claim the rewards daily as well and do whatever you want with those. But it is locked up for 6 months, so just know that. And those are the proof of stake options that you can get involved with there. Make sure you guys hang out with them, or not hang out with them, but check out their X account so you can be up to date with their latest updates. This team is constantly making new partnerships, and they are grinding, which shows, which is the reason why they have so much strength in that Merlin token there. Head over to merlinchain.io to learn more. And then lastly here is Satsman.fun, which launched their launchpad today. And it's a Bitcoin layer 1 launchpad that utilizes and leverages ICP's tech stack. ICP has their own Bitcoin node. So they are constantly scanning Bitcoin's blockchain. And so that's why it is as native as possible. And when it comes to a scaling solution, right? So they actually roll up all the transactions to make it fast trading for you guys. Right now, there's the focus is on these 3 Genesis tokens that the team launched here. As you can see, these are the first 3 tokens, and very soon they're going to make this a permissionless launchpad to where other people can start launching as well. And right now, you can actually mint. And the way it works too is if the tokens don't mint out, you'll get your Bitcoin back. Right. So super exciting stuff. We do believe that runes are going to be at a point once the market is more liquid that they will have that strong revival, just because of the commitment to the Bitcoin ecosystem has, right, with kind of believing in things. And I feel like most of crypto should adopt that similar belief. But it is what it is. So make sure you head over to satsman.fun. Check out the website. You can actually, what's it called? Reserve the future tickers for these runes as well. They're going to be updating features as well. And so it's going to be a fun time. It is live now, so you can check it out. Go to satsman.fun.
Yeah, definitely. And then, pay attention to what happens with ZZZ. I think you can meme it really well with the sleeping giant, right? All Z's and stuff like that. This could be something that really runs. I'm sure that Asia is going to play in this market. And that's the big difference, I think, from a lot of these other ecosystems. With Monad, they weren't really open to Asia, right? Because you couldn't even buy it on Binance. And then, same thing with Spark. I think they messed up by launching 3 a.m. Asian time, and Asia was just like, screw this. Satsman, you got to remember, Omnity is based out of Asia, right? So that's a big thing here, and they're talking to teams like CryptoBerg and some of these larger market caps from Odin. Market caps from Odin. And I think you're going to see a lot of the Odin guys kind of be playing over here as well when they want to do a different L1 or, Odin, which is that hybrid. So you're going to see a lot of potential combination of the two. I'm really excited for what Satsman is going to bring to the ecosystem. But you guys have a few more minutes. Mind checking out onchainrevolution.io. We have some of the best articles dating all the way back to 2023. If you know someone just entering your space, please send them our website. We really feel like it can help them get started and caught up to where we are today. This new article from last week, why ICP is a natural fit for Bitcoin L1 DeFi. Definitely check this article out, guys. It will definitely get you caught up to what is happening. We will have a video coming out about Satsman coming out as well. You guys can check that out. But in the meantime, if you guys need a VPN for anything, main reason why you guys should have a VPN is use you can use hyper stuff. You can use stuff like Hyperliquid and stuff like MEXC. I use both of them every single day. I won't be able to do it without my VPN. Highly recommend you guys get a VPN. Use it for everything. If you launch a meme coin, if you do anything, you can be tracked to your IP address. But when you have it set for Italy or El Salvador or wherever else, you are pretty much invincible when it comes to being tracked down. Do that, guys. You can lock it in right now for $2.99 a month. Lock it in, set it, forget it for 2 years, get an extra 3 months. It's like $70. You lock it in. You basically have this VPN on your phone, computer. It can load up to 10 devices, right, for the same exact price. I have it on pretty much 10 devices right now. So definitely highly recommend that, guys. And on top of that, if you guys need a ledger, We just started this new ledger campaign with the guys because we believe in it. We believe in, you know, if we're going to push any type of hardware wallet to you guys, it's going to be a ledger. And, you know, you can use our affiliate link. This is the only reason, it's the only way we get paid from this. If you guys use the affiliate link here, but you get some great deals, $74 for Ledger Enter. If you have a husband or a wife who's in crypto, and get them a ledger. I think that's a really cool gift. I would love for my wife to get me a ledger. That'd be really cool. Like, oh, thanks. That's awesome. But make sure they don't get it from Amazon. Make sure they don't get it from eBay. You want to make sure that you get it from the supplier themselves, Ledger, and that's what you get for coming to our site at onchainrevolution.io. Remember, guys, we are live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Pacific, and 3 p.m. UTC. Check us out all week. Until tomorrow.
Peace.
OnChain, 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 OnChain. OnChain revolution roll call. Market recap. You're not bullish enough, no. You're not bullish enough, no. Look at the price go. Bitcoin control. Why you still coping? Price action rolling. Don't fall for bear trap. Swapping indexes and putting it up in the sex. I can take profit right now. OnChain is where I be now. You can never look back. They don't want you to know. How did the market react? Fear and greed gotta adapt. Now we bridging the tokens and arching the network right now. You know how crazy we are. Nookies are savages now. They know how crazy we are. Chain abstraction, main attraction. OnChain revolution.